Hello there, this is Mike Goldenberg here with another Amulet Titan replay video. I'm choosing to do replay videos for this deck, as I said before, because I'm learning it and I'm a little bit slow playing it. Here I have an absolutely amazing hand. Part of the reason why I wanted to display this is I feel like this match particular shows a little bit of the strength of the deck. And it's a different way how it's powerful, both games 1 and 2. So I open up, play Amulet of Vigor with the basic forest, kind of the absolute thing I want to do here. My opponent fetches a basic mountain, Faithless Loots 2. So at this point I'm thinking my opponent's either on Mardu Pyromancer, a Black-Red Phoenix deck, or Hollow One. Those are the only real decks that run Faithless Looting and Blood Crypt. So I decide to lead off with the Ancient Stirrings, grab the Amulet. My other choices there were like a Karoo land and a couple other things. Play the County Garden, I'll get a free blocker and be able to play the second Amulet. So I am very far ahead here, and any Karoo land will let me play Primetime on curve. My opponent Goblin Lores and ditches a bunch of cards and doesn't play anything, so they are having a bad day. Hollow One is not treating them favorably. I Teleria West, float a bunch of blue mana, play Trinket Mage with 1 mana still up thanks to the Amulet untapping it twice, and go for the third Amulet, which means that at this moment I had set myself up for any land in my deck to allow me to play Primeval Titan. Any tap land. So a Bojuka Bog would have allowed me to play Primetime. Instead, I get a Karoo land, which gives me more than enough mana. I untap it 3 times, float the 6 mana, and I'll bounce Teleria West. Cast Primeval Titan, and win the game. My opponent concedes here, but I can play... I could play all 4 Primetimes in my deck and win. Or I can just attack in with a measly giant double striking creature, which they can't do anything with just a basic swamp up. So that was game 1. This kind of really shows the power of the deck in terms of what people usually think of when they think of Amulet Titan. They think of the giant explosive kill you plays. I think this was turn 4. And Modern's a turn 4 format, so I don't think in any way, shape, or form this shows that the deck is unfair, but it does show how explosive the deck can be. I really did nothing. I kind of had a nothing hand. I just dropped these stupid 1 mana artifacts, fetched another one, dropped a stupid blocker, and then I won the game. So this kind of really just kind of shows, like I said before, how explosive it is, how resilient the deck is. Fatal Push did nothing here. Bolt would have done nothing here. Even a Terminate would have done nothing here to stop me from winning. Thoughtseize arguably wouldn't have done too much here. So this deck is extremely resilient to all forms of hate that you'd expect it to be weak against. And even Graveyard Hate wouldn't fold to that here. So fantastically powerful, explosive deck. Here's what the deck is capable of. And here's why people fear it. Game 2 shows something a little bit different. Spoilers, I win in 2 here. So game 2, I open up, I have an interesting hand here, and I keep it. I have Grave Hate, I have Extra Grave Hate, and I have Ancient Stirrings to fetch me what I need. This hand is not fast, this hand is not great. In no way, shape, or form can this hand reliably cast Rurik Thar or Primetime on turn 3, which is what the deck primarily wants to do. But this hand can keep me from dying for a little bit, unless it's up against a one of their menace creature draws. So my opponent leads with an Engineered Explosives on 1, probably because they have PTSD from a triple Amulet draw. I play the Tormod's Crypt in my Grove and say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to drop the Secure Tribe Scout. If they want to spend their entire turn 2 blowing it up with the Engineered Explosives, I am more than happy with that. I have a slow hand. if I can force my opponent to slow play too, then I'm getting very far ahead. So my opponent loots into a hollow one. They discard a they discard a Thoughtseize and a looting. They play the hollow one and pass turn. Now I'm sitting on a couple different options, but no matter what, I'm Ancient Stirring this turn because I need some help. I grab the Radiant Fountain just to slow my opponent down because I'm on a slow draw anyway, and pass turn, keeping up my secured Tribe Scout with a bounce land, so in case I run into any shenanigans here, I can deal with it. While my opponent's attacking, I blow up their graveyard. It also gave me the best chance to, in case I drew Obstinate Baloth, that was a great line to be able to, if in case I drew him, to be able to play him. I would have I'd have 4 or 5 mana available. I didn't draw him, I just kind of drew more land, which is a little unfortunate. But my opponent's now sitting at no cards in the graveyard, 2 cards in hand, about to be 3. An EE on 1 that hurts them arguably more than it hurts me, and just a 4/4 in play, which doesn't do much. So I paused there for a moment. My option was I could take a card out of my hand, like the Sunhome, for example, guarantee it gets in play and it doesn't get discarded, but that would put me at a higher chance of discarding my Ogre. I didn't care that much about Sunhome in this matchup, and I cared more about keeping Rurik Thar in hand, so I kept the odds the same. I ended up discarding a basic forest, a Sunhome, and the Simic Growth Chamber, and I drew into the Prime, which is perfect because I will have 6 mana on my following turn because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, why I didn't play a land from my hand yet. I wanted to see what happened and keep the possibility of dropping Rurik Thar on my turn very high. Instead, I drew into the Prime Time, so now I'm very, very happy. Opponent swings for 8. I go down to 10, and then I drop in a Vesuva, copying Radiant Fountain to go back up to 12, just to kind of stop some shenanigans from happening. And I play my land for turn, and what is there to do except for play Primeval Titan? I choose to fetch a basic forest and a Simic Growth. I'll bounce back to Vesuva since it's the most flexible land. I grab the basic forest because in case my opponent drops a Blood Moon, I still will be able to play the Rurik Thar. Now, I think that's an important line here. I didn't get greedy, I just chose the most valuable play. I recognized that I still had a threat in my hand, and the only way I was going to really get punished for this is if my opponent had exactly Slaughter Pact and Blood Moon. Slaughter Pact the Primetime play Swamp Blood Moon, but they didn't have enough cards to do that, so kind of get rewarded here. My opponent missing those early hollow ones. So my opponent is going to have a hard enough time dealing with Primetime. Even if they do, they still have to deal with Rurik Thar, and even if they eventually drop Blood Moon, I can still drop Rurik Thar. So that's why I chose to grab that basic forest there, which I think is important. My opponent looted, and I chose to exile their graveyard in response to their fetch. They couldn't play Gurmag Angler. And then I'll pop Vesuva in play, gain some extra life. So here there's not much to do. Zusa is not really worth playing, in my opinion. I'm really far ahead here. I just want to attack. So I bounce the Teleria West back to my hand, and I cast Teleria West, or transmute Teleria West. Come on here. So what ended up happening was I was able to, I just was able to play another prime time, land the other prime time, and win the game. So another example of how this deck is powerful. First one was with Amulet, second one was without. Both times I was able to land prime times and kind of flexibly react to my opponent's threats. Tormod's Crypt was amazing. Vesuva replaying Radiant Fountain or replaying Bojuka Bog is very good against graveyard-centric decks that also trying to kill you with Flurry of Burn spells or creatures. I think it's also a good combination against Is It Phoenix, unless they get the nut and swing in with a 7-8 Thing in the Ice flipped. I think you're doing fine just with Bojuka Bogging and Radiant Fountaining in there. And then you have Engineered Explosives to kill Thing. But Engineered Explosive isn't as valuable in this matchup, but a card like Rurik Thar is absolutely phenomenal in both. So this is the deck, this is the matchup. I hope you like it, and I'll see you in the next one.